So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're gonna check out our newest bow that was just added into the game with the new war update, the Nataruk, something like that. Now, since I really don't want to spoil anything, let's just say that you can try this bow out and play around with it during the new war, and then at the end you actually get it in the mail. Now, this bow is a little bit unique in terms of mechanics because unlike normal bows that have uncharged and charged shots, this one can fire perfect shots as well. Uncharged and fully charged shots are somewhat similar to standard bows with the exception that uncharged shots will release a normal arrow, whereas a fully charged shot will release an explosive bolt instead. But unlike standard bows, if you release the arrow about 2/3 of the way through without charging it all the way, you will get a perfect shot instead. It even has an indicator on the crosshair to show you where you can fire a perfect shot. An uncharged shot will do 450 damage and 405 out of that is puncture, 45 is slash with 20% crit chance, 1.8 times crit multi and 30% status. If you charge it all the way, it will do 900 damage, 648 out of which is puncture and 252 is slash with 50% crit chance, 2.2 times crit multiplier and 50% status. And if you manage to hit a perfect shot, the damage stays the same as a charged shot, but the crit goes up to 60% and the crit multiplier goes up to 2.4 times. Now, I did say that the perfect and fully charged shots release an explosive bolt instead, but that's not entirely true. It's just that the hitbox of the projectile is much bigger, so it's much easier to hit enemies. It doesn't actually explode. Also, quick shots do have a forced impact proc on them, however, the damage and the stats overall are so much lower it's not really worth using even for internal bleeding. And outside of that, the bow is very accurate, though the multi-shot projectiles tend to fly off to the side a little bit. The draw speed isn't the best, though it's definitely not slow, but it does have infinite ammo, which is very nice. And finally, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but the wiki does seem to agree with me, the fully charged and perfect shots don't seem to have a headshot multiplier at all, and I think it's for the same reason why the Arca Plasmor doesn't have it. The projectile is too big, so it would be far too easy to hit headshots. Now, as far as the build is concerned, I actually have two builds that I'm going to share with you today. The first one is the one that is kind of the most obvious one, and the one that most people are probably going to gravitate towards, and it's this one, which is a pretty standard Viral munition setup. So you go with 100 munitions, Viral, and then I personally went with Hammershot because both the crit damage and the status bonus are very nice. Though I'm not entirely sure if I can recommend critical delay on this one because it makes the draw speed pretty slow, and yeah, if you're not going to use any other fire rate, I would probably use Point Strike instead. This setup basically has the highest potential DPS because if you manage to land a slash proc with 100 munitions, it's going to be huge. But it doesn't feel particularly good, it's just slow and somewhat unreliable because sometimes you just don't get a slash proc, and in that case the damage is going to be somewhat mediocre. So the build that I would actually recommend is this one, where we go for pure crit, and we also get a ton of extra fire rate with primed shred. We're also running corrosive and cold, mainly because of primed cryo rounds and the massive amount of damage that it provides. Now, this isn't the only way to build this. You can actually squeeze in more status if you're ballsy enough and you have high enough rank of primary merciless or deadhead or whatever you're going to be using by replacing serration with galvanized aptitude. The reason I didn't do it is because I wanted as much upfront damage as possible and I didn't want to have to proc status on the enemy to actually do full damage. Now, this setup doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as the first one, so if all you want is damage, go for the first one instead, but it's infinitely more fun to use and it's also more reliable because the damage is going to be more or less the same all the time. This weapon has instantly become one of my favorite weapons in the game. It is so very good. The sound, the infinite ammo, the perfect shot mechanic, it's just really nice. So of course I'm going to recommend you get a full build on this thing. It is absolutely amazing, though which build you choose depends on what you want to do and what you want from the bow. If all you want is damage and you're big into steel path and that kind of stuff, I would highly recommend the first one, but if you want a more fun, enjoyable setup that's still going to demolish the vast majority of the game with no issues, go for the second one instead. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed it and found it helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.